Hello and welcome to episode 57 of Daryl Show Your Work. In this episode, I'll be compromising a local server within my network via the clear text FTP protocol. Like always, anytime that I do any sort of red teaming or offensive security activities, I like to preface my videos by stating that this is only for ethical and research purposes only. Any malicious actions that may directly or indirectly come from anyone watching my videos, I do not take responsibility for, nor do I condone. With that said, let us get started. So the first thing that I need to do is find out, let's see what my IP address is. So I'm going to do an ifconfig. All right, so I am actually running on the Ethernet 1 interface. So it looks like that my IP address is 192 102.81.2. So in order to discover some other devices on my within my local network, I am going to do a fping for some host discovery. All right, and what this is going to do, it's going to ping every device on my local network and tell me who's up, and that way I can decide what device that I want to target. All right, so I'm actually 102.81.0. All right, I'm put in a cider mask there. All right, I'm gonna run this and it should tell me who else is up. All right, so we got 1, 2, and 3. So I'm 2. More than likely, the gateway is 1, so 3 seems like a likely candidate for me to target. So let's target 192.102.81 3. All right, so I'm going to start up the Metasploit framework because that's what I will be using to conduct this compromise. All right, so anytime that usually that we use the Metasploit framework, we want to start up the um the PostgresQL um, database. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm combining that step with starting msfconsole. So basically, I said the command to start up the SQL database is service PostgreSQL start, and I'm combining that with the step to start the MS console, which is going to start the Metasploit framework. So I put an ampersand between there to conduct both. So I'm hit enter. All right, looks like we're in. All right, so one thing that I'm going to do here, which is good practice, is creating a workspace. So in case you're doing multiple activities within Metasploit, you can always um, create a workspace for whatever particular activity that you're doing. So in this case, I'm going to be doing some FTP enumeration. So I'm going to say workspace dash A, and I'm going to name this workspace FTP underscore enum. All right. So just to check that I'm in that workspace, I could just do workspace, and it's going to come back and tell me I'm in that workspace. Also, a way you could always just check your database status is do db underscore status, and it'll let you know the status of the PostgreSQL database. So we can see that it is up and running. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to enumerate um, to basically run a scanner, a port scan on our target and be able to do some enumeration. So in order to do that, I'm just going to do a simple search. I'm going to say search port scan. All right, let's see what it comes back with. All right, so we have quite a few port scans. So the one that I want is actually called what that we see on the number 5. It's auxiliary slash scanner slash port slash TCP. So this is going to scan do some enumeration for all TCP related ports, similar to what we do with uh, Nmap. All right, so I have two options as far as choosing my module. I could either write out the whole name. I could either use and write out the whole name, or I could simply just put the ID. So I'm going to save us some time here and just say use 5, since that is the um, the module that I'll be using. All right, so before I do anything else, I'm going to show options, and there's some things that I need to um, some configurations that I need to set. One in particular, so I can do a set our hosts and put our target here, which is see, what was that again? Let me scroll up again. See, who are we targeting? 102.81.3. Okay. 81.3. So what I could do is I can write this to set our remote host to our target here, and I could do that each time that I run a tool. Or what I can do, I can say set G or host to set a global variable, so that way that every time that I use a utility here or a module within the Metasploit framework, that it'll automatically set my remote host to our target. All right, so I'm going to do that in this instance, and let's go to show options again just to make sure that that's set properly. All right, so we can see that now that our target is actually now set to, excuse me, our remote host is now set to our target machine. All right, so now I'm going to run this scanner and see, does it come back with any open FTP ports. All right, so I'm going to tell it to run. All right, as we can see, it did come back that port 21, which is FTP's default port, is indeed open. All right, so now, I'm gonna go back for a second. Now we want to be able to find a tool which can basically um, scan for. We want to see what version of FTP that it's using. Okay, before we exploit it, let's see if we can find out what version of FTP that it's using, and then once we have a version, see if there's any particular tool specific to that version of FTP that will allow us to compromise that. All right, so I'm going to type in back here to go back. All right, now I'm going to for any search for any FTP related tools. All right, so we have quite a few. All right, so let's narrow that search down. So I'm going to say search, and I'm going to say type, and I'm going to say auxiliary name FTP. All right, let's see what it comes back with. All right, so that narrowed it down quite a bit. So let's look for something that targets that will enumerate the version of FTP. All right, let's start from the top here. All right, we see right here, number 15, auxiliary scanner FTP version. So that is what I want to use because I want to be able to know what version of FTP that our target is open, excuse me, is using on that open port. All right, so I'm going to say use 15 since that's the ID. All right, so let me check just make sure that global variable work. I'm going to say show options. All right, as you can see, our global variable is still working, that it has set that our target to the remote host, and everything is pretty. We're going to use all the default um, configurations here for this module. And as you can see that the remote port is automatically set to 21 since this is an FTP related tool. So we should be good to go as far as running utility. All right. All right, so we have so we have a banner for it, and it seems like it's using ProFTD 1.3 point 5A. All right, so it's using that type of FTP server. All right, so now the next thing we want to do is let's search for a tool that can target that specific version of FTP. All right, so I'm gonna say back. And this time I'm going to search for Pro FTD. Oh, look like I got fat fingers something. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, let's do that again. I got nothing for Pro FTD. Let's see. Let's do search. Um, let's see. I'm gonna say type, and I'm gonna do another auxiliary search. All right, so this time I want something that's going to try to automate some type of brute force login. All right, so let's go through this list here again and let's see what is something that I can choose. All right, number 12 looks like a good option. All right, so I want to be able to use this tool to see if it is at all, if this particular version of FTP is indeed vulnerable to um, um, any sort of brute force login. All right, so see, this is number 12. All right, so I'm going to do use 12. All right, so let's do the show options for that. Oh, it's a lot to choose from. Okay, so since I'm looking to do a I'm looking to do a brute force login. Fortunately, I have some word lists on my machine here, so I am going to set those word lists here. So just making sure that our remote host is set. We go up a little bit. Remote host, where are you? Our host, there we are. Okay, the variable is still set. Good. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the user file the user file parameter. What that is basically I'm going to tell it what word list to use to guess the to try to brute force and guess the username. It's going to use a word list of commonly used usernames to check against the actual usernames on that server to see if it gets a hit. So I'm going to say set. Let me say user file. All right. And this word list is located in user share metasploit framework data, and then see word list. And the name of that file is common underscore users, and it's a text file. All right, so we're gonna set it to that. Just checking my syntax here. Everything looks good. All right. And then we're going to do the same thing for the right here for the user pass file. All right, no, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, for the pass file, not user pass file, for the pass file. All right, so we're going to set the pass file to again, so similarly to what we did to as far as brute forcing and trying to guess the username. Now we're going to do the same thing for the password and use it to see if they have a weak password. If they're using weak passwords, and try to brute force the passwords as well, and see if we can find that username and password combination to try to then log in. All right, so let's go through my history here, and then we're just going to change this to pass file, and then everything else. Okay, and then the file is actually different. So we're not using common users. We're gonna use the common Unix. Excuse me, the Unix password file. Okay. All right. So that should be good to go. Set that there. All right. Now let's try to run that. I'll give it a moment. So this is basically it running the brute force. And so it's, as you can see, it's guessing different combinations between sysadmin being the username, and it's trying different combinations of passwords. Oh, we got a successful login. So give it some more time here. So I'm going to stop it since we already found it. Okay, so it looks like if we look right here, we got a successful login with a combination of sysadmin and 654321 as the password. All right, so now that we've got that, let's exit out of Metasploit. All right, and let's try to do a FTP connection to this server using those credentials, and let's see what happens. All right, so I'm gonna say 192. All right, then what did we say? 102.81.3. All right. So it looks like it logged me in as root. Let's see. Is that what happened? So let me send no name. Let me just give it sysadmin. There we go. Okay, no, it was asked for a user password. Okay, and then the password was 654321. Looks like we're in. We got us a FTP session here just to make sure that everything's working the way it should. I'm gonna do a list. All right. And so we can see what files we have in here. It looks like we have a secret file. So you know what? Let's get that file. Let's see what's in there. All right. So I'm gonna say get. I'm gonna do a get method. I'm gonna say secret. And anytime that you're making a connection to using a protocol to a server, usually to be able to download whatever's in there to your local home directory, you would do a git command. All right, so txt. All right, that transfer was complete. All right, so let's exit out. All right, now let's read that secret. So I'm gonna say cat. Well, let's make sure it's in our local directory first. So I'm gonna do a list on my end. Yep, the secret's there. So I'm gonna say cat secret.txt. That looks like we got a flag. So if we were doing the capture the flag here, we would have us a nice shiny flag. All right. So let's see. Another thing that we could do is let's say if we wanted to check to see if we could log in anonymously into FTP, because there's some versions, legacy versions of FTP that would allow anonymous logins, and which you definitely don't want because those require no credentials. So let's see if that's a thing with our target. All right, so I'm gonna go back into Metasploit. All right, so let's start that back up again. All right, we're in. So let's go back into our workspace here. So I'm gonna say workspace, and then see the name of our workspace was FTP underscore enum. All right, make sure we're there. All right, D, we're back in there. All right, so now let's look for a utility that will allow us to see if we can connect anonymously. So we're just gonna do the same old search we did as far as auxiliary scans, auxiliary scans of related to FTP. All right, so let's see if we can find anything that will allow any sort of anonymous login. Usually, it's pretty Metasploit's pretty good as far as naming conventions, as we previously seen, as far as being able to find something we want. And bam, right at the top, looks like we have FTP anonymous. We look at the description here, anonymous FTP access detection. So let's see if indeed that is present on our target um, that we're running this against. So I'm going to go back down here and I'm going to tell it to use 0 since that was the ID. All right, and then let's just make sure I'm going to go to show options just to make sure that that I need to set that global variable again since I exited out of my session. So instead of just setting a variable, because this is the last thing that I'm going to be doing in this video, I'm not going to set the global variable this time. I'm just going to just set the R host to our target just for this 102, just for this particular scan 81 3. Let me just verify that is indeed our target. I believe I got that right. 102.81.3. Yep. Okay. All right. Let's just make sure that that is good. Show options. All right. So you see everything else has been set. The FTP user is anonymous. The password is a simple Mozilla at example.com. And then the remote port is again set to 21 by default since we're using an FTP related tool. All right, so let's run this and let's see. And let's see. It's not really telling me much. Whether or not it's an auxiliary module execution complete. So I suppose based on that output that it potentially is vulnerable, but it's not really telling me much here. But I mean it's a way, it's a tool, and it's a way we could find out if FTP allows anonymous login. So let me just try to go back and see if that is a thing. So I'm gonna say exit out, and let's FTP into that target again. So I'm gonna hit enter. All right, I'm not gonna give it anything this time. I'm just say I'm gonna hit enter, enter. So no, it doesn't appear to be because it didn't allow me to log in. So let me just do one more thing here. Let me see. Let me try one more thing. All right, if I were to let's see. Not give it a password. No, okay. So it looks like based upon the lack of a detail given to us by that module to look for anonymous login, and then my inability here to log in without any credentials, that seems to have failed. It doesn't seem like this version of FTP is vulnerable to that anonymous login, but it's just a way to find out what certain versions of protocols um, are vulnerable to what sort of exploits. All right, so just to give a high level overview of what was done here. So we used the metasploit framework to first to enumerate the presence of open ports on our target that we found during a ping sweep, and we found that it was indeed had a port 21 open, which is a clear text protocol, and if there's not any very specific reason why you should have that open and not use the more secure version of a file transfer, then you should have that locked down by default. But anyway, that was open, and then we looked for tools to find out what for more modules within Metasploit to find out what the current version is. Then we looked for once we found out that version, then we looked for specific tools that would be able to tell us if that particular version was vulnerable to anything, and I decided to attempt to brute force that that protocol using some word lists here that I had stored in my system here, and we were able to successfully deduce that the username was sysadmin, that the password was 654321. We tested those found credentials out on the FTP protocol here, and we're able to um, make a successful establish a successful connection, FTP connection to our target host, find a secret file, download that file, and then open that file up on our end. So it just shows how an attacker can then exploit a vulnerable protocol such as FTP, and then exfiltrate certain sensitive information from an enterprise or from a target. So please like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, show your work. Until next time, take care of yourself and God bless.